The monarchy thrives on duty, on names, titles, and traditions passed down like sacred scripts. But sometimes, someone says no. Zara Tindall, the granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II, was born into royalty, blood of the crown, descendant of kings and queens. Yet she never bowed to it, never accepted a title, never wanted a palace to call her own. To most, she's simply an equestrian champion, a woman married to a rugby star, a royal in name only. But that's the story they tell you. That's the version printed in the safe columns of the press. Because what Zara truly inherited wasn't land or titles, it was knowledge, secrets, letters, and one final request from the Queen herself, a request no one was supposed to read. This is the untold story of the royal who walked away, and the one thing she took that changed everything. Hidden within the walls of Windsor Castle was a letter handwritten by Queen Elizabeth, placed in an envelope marked with a single word, Zara. It was never registered in the official archive. No one outside the inner circle even knew it existed until it disappeared. The Queen's private secretary confirmed it once sat in her personal desk drawer. Then it was gone. And just days later, Zara Tindall left the palace grounds, indefinitely. No press release, no public explanation, only whispers of a private meeting and a letter that was never supposed to surface. So, what did that letter contain? And why did the Queen entrust it to the one royal who wanted nothing to do with the crown? To understand the weight of that moment, you have to go back to the late 1980s, when Zara was just a child chasing ponies across the royal fields. She wasn't raised in the glare of the cameras like William or Harry. She lived in the shadows of the institution, close enough to breathe the same air, far enough to never feel its warmth. Princess Anne, Zara's mother, made a bold decision. She declined royal titles for her children, a move praised by some, criticized by others. But it set Zara on a path unlike any royal before her. No titles meant no public duty, no obligations, and most importantly, no protection. As she grew older, Zara built a life away from royal traditions. She competed. She won medals. She married for love, not alliance. But what never left her was the burden of being born into something she didn't ask for, something heavy, golden, and laced with silence. The Queen watched her from afar, always proud, always guarded, but in her final years, something shifted. There were talks, private ones, between Elizabeth and Zara. Walks through Balmoral Gardens, long drives with no staff, and then came the moment. The letter, was it a farewell, a confession, or something else entirely? Something the Queen could never say out loud to the others. Because while the world watched Charles, William, and Harry, the Queen had placed her trust in someone who had no title, no crown, no ambition. Zara was never meant to be involved in royal decisions. She had no title, no seat at the table, no official role, and yet the Queen chose her. Not Camilla, not Kate, not even Anne, only Zara. Those closest to the palace say the Queen believed Zara was the only one who could be trusted to act with heart, not ambition, someone who could carry a secret and leave it buried. But what secret was so fragile, so dangerous, that even the palace couldn't protect it? According to sources close to the royal household, the missing letter was not just personal. It contained information tied to the royal succession, a story dating back decades, a name that had never appeared in any official document. Some say the Queen feared the public would never forgive the truth. Others believe she knew time was running out, and she needed to place the truth somewhere safe. In Zara, she saw a vault, a keeper of legacy who would never betray her grandmother's final wish. But weeks after the Queen's passing, Zara began to withdraw. She refused interviews, skipped events. She turned down a royal invitation for the Coronation Planning Committee. No explanation given. It was then that rumors began to spread about a document missing from the Queen's private safe, about whispers between palace aides late at night, and about one phrase heard behind closed doors: the name must stay buried. So what was in the letter? And why would it change everything? One version suggests it was a confession. That long ago, during a period of personal crisis, a decision was made, one that altered the family line forever. A birth not recorded, a child not acknowledged, not because of shame, but because of what their existence would mean for the future of the throne. Zara, being outside the line of succession, had no claim. That made her safe, neutral. She wouldn't gain anything from exposing the truth, and that's exactly why the Queen trusted her. But as the truth began to surface, so did the tension within the family. Prince William reportedly requested access to private archives after the Queen's death and was denied. Princess Anne refused to comment. Prince Harry said nothing. Behind every royal photo, behind every smile and wave, was silence. And silence speaks volumes. Was the monarchy covering up a forgotten heir? Was Zara chosen to protect the truth or to hide it forever? What happens when a royal secret threatens everything the crown was built on? And more importantly, how long can a secret like that remain hidden? It started with a photograph, a grainy image posted anonymously to an old forum. It showed a woman holding a baby. Behind her, a landscape not in England, but in Kenya. The woman bore a faint resemblance to Queen Elizabeth, and the child to someone else, someone royal. The post was deleted within minutes, but screenshots survived. Within days, emails began arriving at royal journalists' inboxes. No names, no explanations, just one phrase. Ask Zara. Who was sending them? And why now? The press didn't touch the story. Too vague, too dangerous. But among palace staff, something had shifted. A former aide who had worked with the Queen during her final years quietly stepped down. Another, scheduled for an interview, cancelled without notice. Then came a break. A former employee at Balmoral, under condition of anonymity, claimed to have seen the Queen hand Zara a sealed red envelope 3 months before her death. Not during a public event, not in ceremony, in private, no staff, no cameras. And then that employee was relocated, permanently. The pieces were small, fragments, but they all pointed to one conclusion. Something was passed to Zara, and whatever it was, it had the power to reshape royal history. The royal family has weathered war, divorce, abdication, even death. But this was different. If what Zara carried was evidence of a hidden heir, it wouldn't just shake the family, it would redefine the entire line of succession. Who becomes king? Who was meant to? And what if the truth meant that Prince William was never first in line? The Queen knew the world wasn't ready. That's why she chose someone on the outside, someone with royal blood, but not royal ambition. But silence has a price. Zara began to change. Close friends noticed she stopped posting on social media. She declined appearances. Her voice, once confident in interviews, now came in measured, careful tones. Mike Tindall, her husband, was asked about her absence in an interview. He smiled, nodded, and said only 3 words. She's with family. But which family? And under what pressure? Was Zara protecting the crown or protecting someone else? And if that someone is out there, what happens when they decide to speak? Because the longer a secret waits, the louder it echoes. In the quiet corners of Europe, stories began to spread. Whispers in Geneva, a sighting in Malta. A man in his early 40s with a sharp resemblance to Charles, but not William nor Harry. Tall, reserved, accompanied by 2 discreet bodyguards who spoke no English. In one instance, he visited a church. He sat in silence, lit a candle, and left behind a note folded in 4. It read, "Your crown is not my burden." No signature, no confirmation. But someone took a photo, only of the note. And once again, it was deleted from the internet within hours. Too many coincidences, too many loose ends. Was the monarchy quietly tracking someone? Some royal historians believe that if the Queen truly concealed the existence of a child, especially one born before William, it would mean a full breach of the established succession, not scandal, not disgrace, but constitutional collapse, and that's something the Crown cannot afford. Zara, in this narrative, becomes more than a granddaughter. She becomes a guardian of truth, of legacy, of danger, and the longer she stays silent, the more the truth pushes to the surface. Because history has a way of writing itself, whether the Crown approves or not. Back in London, inside the archives of Windsor, there's a room the public never sees. It's where classified royal records are stored. Birth records, letters, orders, protected by law, guarded by silence. But recently, one name was flagged by a staffer during a routine check. A file, labelled Thomas E., with the last name redacted. The birth date, May 3rd, 1981. 2 months before William. The location, unknown. The parents, sealed by royal decree. The file was quickly removed from the system, replaced with an access-denied message. But the timestamp of the search remained. And here's the twist. The search wasn't made by a historian or a journalist. It was made by a palace employee, one directly tied to Zara's private household. The walls are closing in, and the digital age makes it harder than ever to bury the past. Zara might be holding the secret, but technology is catching up. The Crown may no longer be able to silence what was once easily hidden, and if that hidden file leads to a living heir, then every royal title, every coronation, every name in the books may need to be rewritten. 2 weeks after the file Thomas E. was flagged, Zara was seen boarding a private jet leaving from RAF Northolt. Destination: unknown, the media didn't report it, but leaked flight data suggested a stop in Toronto, Canada, where a private estate, owned under a trust linked to the royal family, sits empty most of the year. Empty, except for 1 week every May. That same week, a small family-run clinic nearby reported an unusual medical visit. No names, no paperwork. But the doctor, who was on duty, later resigned, without reason. And at the center of it all, once again, Zara. What is she protecting? A child born before the line of succession was formalized? A letter written in a moment of royal crisis? Or a man who grew up never knowing his name? Until now. Because in the end, the question is not just who is the rightful heir. It's deeper. What does the Crown become when its foundation was built on silence? And what happens when that silence breaks? As of today, the palace remains silent. No comment, no acknowledgement. But silence is no longer enough. In an age where every record can be found, every file tracked, and every whisper amplified, the Crown's secrets are running out of time. Zara Tindall, the royal who wanted no crown, may now be its last defense, or its undoing, because if a man named Thomas exists, if he's the Queen's unspoken legacy, if he was born before William, then history has already changed. We just haven't accepted it yet. The Royal Archive doesn't close with this story. It opens because this was only one letter, one name. There are more. So we ask you, the viewer, if you were born royal, but raised in shadow, would you take the throne or leave it burning behind you? Subscribe to follow the stories they tried to erase. The past was never silent, it was only silenced.